Good morning, everyone. Sit down. Have a seat. Time to get started, please. Enjoy all the fellowship we get to spend with one another. That's not the main reason we're here.
We gotta wait on the Marines here.
Yeah.
Was that this Sunday or last Sunday?
I think he can take any spot.
I'm sitting down. I'm down.
First week of
I'm down.
All right.
He's better now, but she's still in kind of recovery.
Now look for the other two jacks. All right.
Dang, Jack, you.
We're ready to start now.
Yeah. Oh, we do
I
start.
can't hear you.
Are you back?
Did you lead us in prayer, Dad?
Yes. Our gracious and heavenly Father. Wow, what a wonderful day you have given us, and what a wonderful fellowship with loving church family, friends, and neighbors, Father. Guide us and direct us, and be with ones that are not here for whatever that reason. Return them to us, Father. We have several that are out with various illnesses and sicknesses, Father. Touch your healing hand on them and return them to us. Forgive us of our many sins. In Christ's name we ask.
All right, we are somewhere in the middle of Judges chapter 9. You'll remember we looked at Gideon, and Gideon delivered the Israelites against the who was it? Ammonites, and so he set up a false system of worship. Remember, he made that ephod out of the gold that was taken as loot from these various nations they fought against and defeated. And that became a problem for Israel. It became a place where they worshiped God in other than the tabernacle, which over time evolved into the worship of Baal. And so they used that, it became as the writer says, it became a stumbling block for Gideon and his house and for Israel. And so we looked at that, we talked about Abimelech, the illegitimate son of Gideon. So there's a problem right there, right off the bat. He's an illegitimate son. So we see Gideon wasn't perfect. He wasn't, he was faithful in the fight against the Ammonites, but he wasn't overall faithful to God as he should have been. And so his son Abimelech killed all the other sons except for one. And not Jephthah, get to Jephthah in a few minutes, but he kills everybody except for who was it? Jotham, yeah, Jotham, moreover. Brain's not working this morning.
It's been a whole week.
Yeah, Jotham. And so Jotham tells the fable there about the trees. And remember it starts from the biggest, most beneficial tree, and they all reject leadership over the people or over the other trees. And then they elect the bramble. And bramble is a not very beneficial tree. Certainly you don't get any food from it. It's lower than the other trees. It's lesser than the other trees that were mentioned. And it's hard and it's thorny. And so it's a parable about the kind of leader they had chosen for themselves. And the result was, remember, the forest or the trees burned down. And so he warns them that this is what's going to happen because of the kind of man they have selected to lead them. And so if you remember, he is of his mother comes from the people of Shechem, the Shechemites. And Of course, these are Israelites as well, but, from a different, group than the rest of his family. And so they see, Abimelech as someone who is related to them, of the descendants who descended from Jerubbaal or Gideon, and so they think he should be king. But we see later on, so they make him king. But then there's a man by the name of Gael, the son of Ebed, and he says there in verse 28, who is Abimelech and who is Shechem, that we should serve him? Is he not the son of Jerubbaal, and is not Zebul his officer? Serve the men of Hamor, the father of Shechem, but why should we serve him? So at first they serve him because he's one of them, but now they go, well, he's not really one of us. Gael says, he's not really one of us, and so why should we serve him? Verse 29, if only this people were under my authority, then I would remove Abimelech. So he said to Abimelech, increase your army and come out. So he's, after he's, if only I had a way to do something about Abimelech. So he tells them, bring your army out. And he sent messengers, verse 30, when Zebul, the ruler of the city, heard the words of Gael, the son of Ebed, his anger was aroused. He sent messengers to Abimelech secretly, saying, take note, Gael, the son of Ebed, and his brothers have come to Shechem, and here they are fortifying the city against you. And so they think Zebul's on their side, but in Zebul, he secretly goes and he lets Abimelech know what's happening. Now therefore get up by night, and you and the people who are with you, and lie in wait in the field that shall come, or shall be as soon as the sun is up in the morning, that you shall rise early and rush upon the city. When he and the people who are with him come out against you, you may then do to them as you find opportunity. So Abimelech and all the people who were with him rose by night and lay in wait against Shechem in 4 companies. When Gaal, the son of Ebed, went out and stood in the entrance of the city, Abimelech and the people who were with him rose from lying in wait. And when Gaal saw the people, he said to Zebul, look, people are coming down from the top of the mountains. But Zebul said, you see the shadows of the mountains as if they were men. So early in the morning, the army's coming down the mountain. And he said, no, you're just seeing things. You're seeing shadows. So Gael spoke again and said, behold, people are coming down from the center of the land, and another company is coming from the diviner's terebinth tree. Whatever that is. It was a landmark that they would have known. And then Zebul said to him, where indeed is your mouth now with which you said, who is Abimelech that we should serve him? Are not these the people whom you despise? Go out, if you will, and fight them now. So Zebul is kind of saying, oh, here's this guy. You talked a big talk. Now go out there and fight him. So Gael went out, leading the men of Shechem, and fought with Abimelech, and Abimelech chased him, and he fled from him. And many fell wounded to the very entrance of the gate, and Abimelech dwelt at Ramah. And Zebul drove out Gael and his brothers so that they could not dwell in Shechem. It came out the next day that people went out into the field, and they told Abimelech. He told his people, divided them into 3 companies, and lay in wait in the field. And he looked, and were the people coming from the city, he arose against them and attacked them. So when Gael is cast out of Shechem, somebody went and told Abimelech it was going to happen, and so they ambushed them as they are cast out of the city. So Abimelech fought against the city all that day, and he took the city and killed the people who were in it, and he demolished the city and sowed it with salt. So he took those that were kicked out of the city, destroyed them, attacked the city, threw it down, and seeded it with salt, which would have been, make it where nothing could grow there again. And so, salting the earth. And so it's a way of really destroying this city, making it very hard for it to recover. And now when all the men of the tower of Shechem had heard that, they entered into the stronghold of the temple of the god Berith. And it was told Abimelech that all the men of the tower of Shechem were gathered together. Then Abimelech went up to Mount Zalmon, he and all the people who were with him. And Abimelech took an axe in his hand and cut down a bough from the trees and took it and laid it on his shoulder. When he said to the people who were with him, "What have you seen me do? Make haste, do as I have done." So each of the people likewise cut down his own bough and followed Abimelech, put them against the stronghold, set the stronghold on fire above them, so that all the people of the tower of Shechem died, about 1,000 men and women. So remember, these were these idolaters that had been chased out of this other temple where they had taken refuge, and now they've gone into this tower. And so Abimelech burns down the tower with everybody in it. Now Abimelech went to Thebez and he camped against Thebez and took it. But there was a strong tower in the city, and all the men and women, all the people of the city fled there and shut themselves in. Then they went up to the top of the tower. So Abimelech came as far as the tower and fought against it. And he drew near the door of the tower to burn it with fire. They're going to try to do the same thing they did with the other tower. But a certain woman dropped an upper millstone on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull. Then he called quickly to the young man, his armor bearer, and said to him, "Draw your sword and kill me, lest men say, a woman has killed him." So his young man thrust him through, and he died. And when the men of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, they departed every man to his place. Thus God repaid the wickedness of Abimelech, which he had done to his father by killing his 70 brothers. And all the evil of the men of Shechem God turned on their own heads, and on them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jeroboam. And so you see what happens here is the people have become wicked. They're idolaters. They're worshiping this false god. They've set up this wicked man to be their king, and it becomes their undoing. They kill, this wicked king kills all these other idolaters, and then they kill him. And so, and everything is burned, like was said in the parable, or the fable of Jotham. It's interesting how God uses wicked men from time to time to do his will. And his will was that all the idolaters be destroyed. And so many were because of this wicked man. We see that very similar to Jehu later on in the book of Kings. And so, interesting. So, that's chapter 9. Now, there's a lot to try to get through. A lot of underhanded dealings, a lot of backbiting and plotting against each other. That's what wicked people do. And sometimes, the wickedness of the wicked destroys their wicked plans. And so, all right. Chapter 10. It says, after Abimelech, there arose to save Israel Tola, the son of Puah, the son of Dodo, a man of Issachar, and he dwelt in Shamir in the mountains of Ephraim. He judged Israel 23 years, and he died and was buried in Shamir. After him arose Jair, a Gileadite, and he judged Israel 22 years. Now he had 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys. They also had 30 towns, which are called Revolt to this day, which are in the land of Gilead. And Jair died and was buried in Kempner. And so here we don't know what the persecutions were that led to these judges. Maybe it's just dealing with the aftermath of Abimelech and all of that mess. Or maybe there were some other minor problems that led to them being persecuted. It's led to God sending these men as judges. And so, but it appears that there was a period of time, 40 or more years, that they were under the judgeship of Tola and Jair back to back. And so, period of faithfulness. It's like we've seen that cycle repeated. That's always exactly the same. But people fall into sin. They're persecuted. Because of persecution, they feel sorrow for sin. And then God sends a deliverer or a judge. And they're faithful while that judge lives. And then when he dies, the whole cycle starts over again. And so not much said about those two judges. In verse 6, says, then the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord, and served the Baals and the Ashtoreths, the gods of Syria, the gods of Sidon, the gods of Moab, and the gods of the people of Ammon, and the gods of the Philistines. And they forsook the Lord and did not serve him. It's like any other god besides the real God, that's who they want to worship. So the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of the Philistines and into the hands of the people of Ammon. From that year, they harassed and oppressed the children of Israel for 18 years. All the children of Israel who were on the other side of the Jordan in the land of the Amorites in Gilead. Moreover, the people of Ammon crossed over Jordan to fight against Judah, also against Benjamin, and against the house of Ephraim. So that Israel was severely distressed. So you've got the tribes that were on the other side of Jordan. They're persecuted by the Ammonites. Even some of the Ammonites cross over the river and they attack Judah and Benjamin. And then at the same time, the Philistines, who are kind of on the southeast coast there of Israel, are apparently afflicting Judah. And so the Sidonians, moreover, the people haven't crossed Jordan. Okay. So Israel was severely distressed. Verse 10. The children of Israel cried out to the Lord, saying, we have sinned against you, because we've forsaken our God and served the Baals. And so here they've reached the point of sorrow and supplication. And so the Lord said to the children of Israel, did I not deliver you from the Egyptians, and from the Amorites, and from the people of Ammon, and from the Philistines, and the Sidonians, and the Amalekites, and the Maonites oppressed you, and you cried out to me, and I delivered you from their hand. Yet you have forsaken me and served other gods. Therefore I will deliver you no more. And so, was their penitence real at this point? I don't think so. God would have delivered them. He wouldn't have said this if they were truly penitent. And so when he says, you've served it, he talks about all the times he's delivered them from the Egyptians. He delivered them from all their various oppressions. When they repented and cried out, he delivered them. He said, I don't do it anymore. He says in verse 14, go and cry out to the gods which you have chosen. Let them deliver you in your time of distress. And the children of Israel said to the Lord, we have sinned. Do to us whatever seems best to you. Only deliver us this day, we pray. So that is really penitent here. They weren't very penitent before. You know, there's that worldly sorrow and there's that godly sorrow. They didn't like the consequences of their action. They were sorry about that. Well, God says, I'm not going to deliver you anymore, because every time I have delivered you, you've forsaken me. Why should I continue to do so? And so then the Israelites, that kind of wakes them up. And then they really, truly, they said, we have sinned. Do what seems best to us, to you. Do to us what seems best to you. In other words, we'll take the consequences that we deserve. And so they put away, verse 16, the foreign gods from among them, and served the Lord, and his soul could no longer endure the misery of Israel. And so they really repented. They didn't just say the words, they put away the idols. They stopped worshiping the idols. They started worshiping God. And then God's mercy came back upon them. He could no longer endure the misery of Israel. So now that they're really suffering and really penitent because of the suffering, now God's mercy is enacted. Then the people of Ammon gathered together and camped in Gilead, and the children of Israel assembled together and camped in Mizpah. And the people, the leaders of Gilead, said to one another, who is the man who will begin the fight against the people of Ammon? He shall be head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. And so they're looking for someone to step up and be the leader. When we get to chapter 11, we get to Jephthah. It says, now Jephthah, I want us to note a number of things about his character as we go through here. Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor. So he's a strong, good fighter, a mighty man of valor. Very courageous, very strong, very skilled fighter. He was the son of a harlot, and Gilead begot Jephthah. Gilead's wife bore sons, and when his wife's sons grew up, they drove Jephthah out and said to him, you shall have no inheritance in our father's house, for you are the son of another woman. So he is an illegitimate child. He is cast out by his other brothers. Then Jephthah fled from his brothers and dwelt in the land of Tob, and worthless men banded together with Jephthah, and they went out raiding with him. And so he becomes a bandit. He gathers together a group of bandits. And so these are highwaymen, these are robbers, murderers, killers, but good fighters. And so he's not a good moral man. These are not the actions of a good moral man. A good moral man who is cast out, he's not going to go and gather together a bunch of worthless men and start raiding and robbing and pillaging and all those things. And so I don't believe Jephthah is a good, strong, faithful, godly man. He's a good fighter. And so it came to pass after a time that the people of Ammon made war against Israel. And so it was when the people of Ammon made war against Israel that the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. And they said to Jephthah, come and be our commander that we may fight against the people of Ammon. So he's an experienced fighter because he's a bandit. They don't have anybody else to lead them, so that's who they choose. Kind of reminds us of Abimelech. And so rather than they find the best man, they find maybe the worst man they could pick. And so Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, do you not hate me and expel me from my father's house? Why have you come to me now when you are in distress? Again, you think about this. I don't know if there's a real comparison to be made, but it's interesting that the Israelites first reach out to God to deliver them, and he says, oh no, y'all aren't really penitent. You're only calling out to me because you're unhappy with your physical circumstances. And so Jephthah kind of says the same thing. Well, you know, I was right there, but you cast me out, but now you want me to come and deliver you now that you're in this distress? And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, that is why we've turned again to you now, that you may go with us and fight against the people of Ammon and be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilead. So Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, if you take me back home to fight against the people of Ammon, and the Lord delivers them to me, shall I be your head? And so notice, he said, I'll only do it if you make me king. Make me your leader. And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, the Lord will be a witness between us if we do not according to your word. Now they call in God as a witness to their vow they've made to Jephthah that if he wins, they'll make him the boss man. And so his motivation seem like he's motivated by his desire to deliver his people? It's kind of a selfish motivation here. This is not the first time that God has used ungodly people to carry out his will. So Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, take it back, well, I'll be your head. They said, God be witness if we do not according to your word. Then Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him head and commander over them. And Jephthah spoke all his words before the Lord in Mizpah. Now Jephthah sent messengers to the king, the people of Ammon, saying, what do you have against me that you have come to fight against me in my land? The the king of the people of Ammon answered the messengers of Jephthah, because Israel took away my land when they came out of Egypt, from the Arnon as far as Jabbok to the Jordan. Now therefore restore those lands peaceably. So they say their motivation, we want the land back that your forefathers took. You give it to us and we'll have peace. Well, where are the Gileadites going to go then? They won't have any place to go. And so Jephthah sent messengers to the king of the people of Ammon and said to him, thus says Jephthah, Israel did not take away the land of Moab, nor did the land of the people, nor the land of the people of Ammon. And so you'll give him a little history lesson. So he is a man, he knows the history of Israel. For when Israel came up from Egypt, they walked through the wilderness as far as the Red Sea and came to Kadesh. Then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, please let me pass through your land. But the king of Edom would not heed. And in like manner they sent the king of Moab, but he would not consent. So Israel remained in Kadesh. So they wanted to pass through those lands peaceably, and they were not allowed. Then Israel sent messengers to the king of Edom, saying, please let me pass through your land. But the king of Edom would not heed. In like manner they sent the king of Moab, but he would not consent. And they went along through the wilderness and bypassed the land of Edom and the land of Moab, and came to the east side of the land of Moab and encamped on the other side of the Arnon. But they did not enter the border of Moab, for Arnon was the border of Moab. So they stayed out of that region and crossed the border into Ammonite territory. And Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, king of Heshbon, and said to him, please let us pass through your land into our place. Again, they wanted to pass peaceably through the land. But Sihon did not trust Israel to pass through the territory. So Sihon gathered his people together and camped at Jahaz and fought against Israel. So he says, we didn't take the land. We didn't come with the intent of taking the land. We wanted to pass through your land, cross over into our own. But you wouldn't let us. We went around, and when the Ammonites would not allow us, they attacked us. And so, where are we at here? Yeah, they took possession of all the territory of the Amorite, from the Arnon to Jabbok, from the wilderness to Jordan. And now the Lord God of Israel has dispossessed the Amorites from before his people Israel. Should you then possess it? Will you not go possess whatever Chemosh your God gives you to possess? So whatever the Lord our God takes possession of before us, we will possess. So he said, if you got a problem with it, get your God to come and fight against our God and see which one wins. That's basically what he says. And of course, Chemosh is no God at all. And so verse 25, and now are you any better than Balak, the son of Zippor, the king of Moab? Did he ever strive against Israel? Did he ever fight against them? While Israel dwelt in Heshbon and its villages, and Aroer and its villages, and all the cities along the bank of the Arnon for 300 years. Why did you not recover them within that time? So why are you now attacking? It's been 300 years since we took the land, and you haven't taken it back. Why are you trying now? Therefore I have not sinned against you, but you wronged me by fighting against me. May the Lord, the judge, render judgment this day between the children of Israel and the people of Ammon. And so he says, we came here, we weren't intending to possess your lands. The lands that were promised to Israel were on the west side of Jordan. But since these kings all fought against the Israelites, they destroyed them, they possessed their land as well. And so he says, you've had 300 years, and yet you have not retaken the land. He says, let your God Chemosh fight for you, and let him conquer a land for you like our God has done for us. Which obviously Chemosh cannot do so. And so this is a man that at least knows the history of Israel. That does not indicate that he's a good man, that he's a righteous man. It's just a man who is educated to the point where he knows history. And really, this sounds more like to me that you have him, it's more of a political argument than it is a spiritual one. And so, why are you attacking us? Well, we want the land back. Well, it was never yours. It's been ours for 300 years. And so that's basically the argument. And so he tries to avoid the war. Verse 29, and then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he passed through Gilead and Manasseh, and passed through Mizpah of Gilead, and from Mizpah of Gilead he advanced toward the people of Ammon. And so the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. And so he was empowered by God to lead this army against the Ammonites. The Spirit of the Lord is said to come upon others. People like Saul, David, some of the other Gideon, some of the other judges. We'll look at Samson later. The Spirit of the Lord came upon all these men, but did all these men act godly, righteously? And so the Spirit of the Lord coming on them doesn't mean that the Spirit of the Lord guides their every single action. But the Spirit of the Lord is on him in that he has the strength to deliver Israel. And so it does not necessarily indicate that everything he does is approved by God and of the Spirit. And so verse 30, Jephthah made a vow to the Lord and said, if you will indeed deliver the people of Ammon into my hands, then it will be that whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the people of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering. Now he makes this vow. Now there's a lot of discussion and argument that takes place around this vow and the things that take place as a result of it. But I want to notice a couple of things here. Now, first of all, he says, if you will deliver. And so he's trying to bargain with God. And so can we bring God into our obligation in any way? No. It almost seems like that's what he's trying to do. He says, if you will do this, then I will do this. And so he made this vow. Whatever, that's a neutral kind of word there. Could be a dog, could be a cat, could be a cow, could be his daughter. Whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me when I return in peace from the people of Ammon shall surely be the Lord's. So he's going to give whatever comes out of the house to meet him first to the Lord. And I will offer it up as a burnt offering. Now he specifies how he's going to give whatever comes out of his house to the Lord. He's going to give it to him as a burnt offering. And so there are some that want to translate that as or. I will give him up as a burnt offering. Whatever comes out of the house, I will dedicate to God, or I will make a burnt offering. But that really doesn't work in the Hebrew language. And so that's a argument from silence. Saying, well, the or is implied. And so it's my understanding, I'm not a Greek scholar, but I read from a Greek scholar. And their comment on that was basically that the structurally, the syntax does not work that way. And so it is, I will deliver them to God, and I will make them a burnt offering. And so that's his vow. So Jephthah advances toward the people of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he defeated them from Aroer as far as Minnith, 20 cities, and to Avoth-Kiramim with a great slaughter. Thus the people of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. And so he gains the victory and defeats the Ammonites. So verse 34. When Jephthah came to his house at Mizpah, there was his daughter coming out to meet him with timbrels and dancing, and she was his only child. Besides her, he had neither son nor daughter. And so it came to pass when he saw her that he tore his clothes and said, Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low. You're among those who trouble me, for I've given my word to the Lord, and I cannot go back of it on it. And so he's distraught when he sees his daughter come out of the house. Now, why would he be so distraught if he was just going to dedicate her to God, to serve as a perpetual virgin to God? Maybe he's upset because he knows now he's not going to have any grandchildren. That would bother me. But it would not. She wouldn't carry his name anyway. And so it seems like he understands what he's going to have to do. He's vowed that he's going to sacrifice as a burnt offering whatever came out of his house. And so I believe that's why he's so troubled. I mean, these are signs of mourning. He tore his clothes. He's been brought low. You're among those who called me trouble. So he said to him, so she said to him, my father, if you have given your word to the Lord to do to me according to what has gone out of your mouth, because the Lord has avenged you on your enemies, the people of Ammon. And so she says, you need to fulfill your vow. Now, it's interesting, her dedication says a lot about her. She's dedicated. She's going to help her father fulfill the vow. She said to her father, let this thing be done to me. Let me alone for 2 months, that I may go and wander in the mountains and bewail my virginity, my friends and I. And so she wants some time to go and bewail her virginity. Bewail the fact that she is a virgin and has no children, or that she will be a perpetual virgin and never be able to have children. But, the fact that she's bewailing her virginity right after she said she'd be glad to sacrifice herself for her father's sake. Again, those two things don't necessarily go together. So he said, go, and he sent her away for 2 months, and she went with her friends and bewailed her virginity on the mountains. And so it was at the end of 2 months that she returned to her father, and he carried out his vow with which he had vowed. And she knew no man. It became a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went 4 days each year to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite. So this is a living sacrifice that she's given herself willingly to live dedicated to God. Is that the tragedy that this seems to be? That's something that the nation would remember for years and years, and have this little memorial that takes place every year for 4 days, if it was just she dedicated herself to God. So that's a possibility, but I just believe a simple reading of the text, he fulfilled his vow as he stated.
This is turning into human sacrifice.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
That's right. God doesn't approve of that. But that's exactly what he's done. Yes, ma'am.
But I think it also points out their belief in vows, whether they were the children of Israel or whether they were not the children of Israel, because the children of Israel turned away from God. Whenever you made a vow, you had to keep that vow no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's what Jephthah had to do. And she knew it.
Remember, he called God as his witness, to witness his vow. He vowed to God.
Yeah.
And so the idea was if you invoked one of the gods, that if you didn't fulfill your vow, that God would take direct vengeance on you.
That's right.
That's what they believed. And so if they made a vow and they invoked a God's name in it, they really truly believed that if they didn't fulfill that vow, that the God would take vengeance on them. And so the daughter believed it apparently, and she didn't want that to happen to her father. They said, you fulfill the vow that you made. So, like I said, there's been a lot of discussion over the years, a lot of arguments over this, because he is mentioned in the Hall of Fame of Faith, Hebrews chapter 11. But I want to kind of point out who else is mentioned there. And he acted in faith, certainly. And we're not saying that he did not act in faith. See, verse 30, is it verse 30? Verse 35 somewhere, I think. Let's see. 32. What more shall I say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Jephthah, also of David and Samuel and the prophets. And so he's mentioned alongside men like Samuel and David and Gideon. Now, we just looked at what happened with Gideon. Did God approve of everything Gideon did? And he didn't approve of the idolatry. David, did God approve of David murdering Uriah? No. And he was still a man after God's heart. He was still a man that acted in faith. Samson. And so God certainly didn't approve of everything Samson did, yet he used him to deliver Israel. The same with Jephthah. They acted in faith. It took faith on the part of Jephthah to do what he did. But just because he acted on faith in one regard doesn't mean he did in every regard. And it doesn't mean that he was a good man at all. So anyway, there's the other view is that, well, God wouldn't approve of a man who did human sacrifice, so therefore he couldn't have done human sacrifice. Yes, sir.
Another question. If he delivered her to the temple, it's the duty of the priest to do the sacrifice.
Okay. Doesn't say that he delivered her to the temple. That I'll give her to you, what he said to God. I'll give her to you.
Consider how much he would have been influenced by the pagan worship around him, and the pagans in that area were known for human sacrifice.
Yeah.
That was commonplace.
Yeah.
Verse 39 here in Judges. At the end of 2 months, she returned to her father, who did to her according to the vow which he had made.
Yep. It never mentions the temple or the priest or the tabernacle or anything. And so,
They did say custom of Israel
a custom of Israel.
in
Kind of gets cloudy here.
Yeah.
That part of it is
The commemoration of her sacrifice became a custom. And
and
so,
that's what the daughters of Israel did there in 40.
yeah.
They lamented that she was sacrificed.
And so it's, just think about the low character of the man, the bandit that they made their leader. And, I just believe that he actually sacrificed her like he said he would. And, I don't believe that he, somehow dedicated her to God in some way. So, there are other people that disagree with that, and again, it's not something to fight over. I know people that have fought over it, got really angry over it, and it's not really worth getting angry over. I can kind of see the argument from both ways, But, the more you look at and dig into the character of, Jephthah, the more you dig into the culture of the region and, the kind of wickedness that really has just overwhelmed Israel. And, it's hard to draw any other conclusion in my mind. Yes, ma'am.
So, this is just me. So I'm just gonna take away, we have a Father, daughter, and God. God planned everything in our life, everything. He knows the end of everything. For me personally, I'm looking at this, that God had a plan for the father, Jephthah and his daughter. I'm leaving it at that. I'm leaving the fact that whatever God's intentions was from the beginning of this, I'm leaving it at that. Like you said, why argue? Whatever God wanted to happen, it happened.
Well, I don't believe that God would have wanted her to be sacrificed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
He allows us to have free will.
that's it. He allowed the free will of everybody involved in circumstances,
Yeah.
whatever. He lets us have that free will.
God knows the choices we're gonna make, and he worked around those choices, but he doesn't
Approval. or
prevent
not,
us from making our own choices.
Yes.
And so, and it's interesting that had Jephthah's faith been really strong, he wouldn't have felt the need to make a vow like that. He'd have just trusted in God, that God will deliver without me needing to bargain with him.
And that's where we fail.
Yeah, right.
That's
See,
where
we shouldn't make a vow to God anyway.
That's right.
Yes, exactly.
Now, Jesus makes that very clear in Matthew chapter 5, we're not to make vow, it says, verse 33, Matthew 5, again, you've heard it said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform your oaths to the Lord. But I say to you, do not swear at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Nor shall you swear by your head, because you cannot make one hair white or black. But let your yes be yes, and your no, no, and whatever is more than these is from the evil one. And that what we saw illustrated in the life of Jephthah with his vow. It came down on him, and became a big problem for him. So we need to be real careful. All right, I think we're past time. All right.